Next at noon, the search for a missing boy comes to a tragic end. Ahead, we have reaction from those search teams. Plus, more planes are in the sky today than any other day during the holiday travel period. Next, how local officials are handling the crowds on Eyewitness News at noon.
Weather and traffic every 10 minutes. Live tomorrow starting at 4:30 a.m. This is Channel 9 Eyewitness News at noon. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news at noon. The search for a missing 7-year-old boy has come to a tragic end. Investigators say Charlie Noon fell into a pond and drowned. The sheriff's office says he was autistic and nonverbal. Channel 9 Volusia County reporter Demi Johnson's live for us this afternoon in Deltona. Demi, the sheriff just wrapped up a press conference.
Yeah, he did, Kirsten, and he was obviously very emotional because this is the second child in Volusia County with autism to walk into a body of water and drown in just the last week. We don't know exactly where this little boy, whose name is Charlie, drowned and got into the lake, but we do know that there is an entrance right down this road where we're standing right now, down Waterfall Circle. We saw some deputies working down there earlier at the bottom of the hill, and we also know that the little boy lived about a mile and a half northeast of where we're standing right now. So it's not clear how he got into the lake or at which street he entered. The sheriff did have one idea. He says he's reaching out to DCF, local hospitals and community groups to hopefully get some kind of technology to pass out to local families who have children with autism. Now, this child's death had a major impact on the community here in Deltona. We've seen dozens of neighbors here helping, looking for the child, and just offering support to law enforcement. We'll have more from them coming up on Eyewitness News at 4, 5, and 6 tonight. For now, live in Deltona, Demi Johnson, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
Demi, thank you. And unfortunately, this isn't the only recent case of a missing autistic child here in Central Florida. And sadly, both recent cases have ended in heartbreak as well. Earlier this month, 5-year-old Arturo Angarita wandered away from his family. It happened at Census Park in Kissimmee. It's believed he slipped through a gap in a fence and drowned in a pond. Around that same time, 4-year-old Waylon Childs was autistic and nonverbal, wandered into a body of water at a park in Volusia County and drowned. Both families are now calling for childproof fences to be put in place at parks with lakes and ponds. Happening today, a judge in Lake County will sentence a woman who shot and killed her husband and then buried him in her backyard. A jury found Lori Shaver guilty in September. It came nearly a decade after her husband, Michael Shaver, disappeared. And then his body was discovered 3 years later under a concrete slab in the backyard of their home in Claremont. Shaver could spend the rest of her life in prison. We'll, of course, let you know what happens in court today on Eyewitness News at 4. Meantime, new documents are shining light on how a woman accused of killing her own teenage daughter abused that girl in the days leading up to her death. Investigators in Osceola County say Kelsey Glover drowned her daughter Giselle. New documents suggest that Giselle was diabetic and bedridden and that Glover would deprive her of medication. Glover's roommate also told investigators that Glover would play loud music to drown out Giselle's screams for help. Glover is scheduled to be in court next Wednesday. New at noon, Disney has agreed to a $43 million settlement in a gender pay dispute. It involves nearly 9,000 women. Now, the lawsuit claims female workers were paid less than their male counterparts. In one case, an employee found a $20,000 pay gap with a less experienced male coworker. Disney has not admitted fault, but says it is committed to fair pay. That settlement is now pending approval by a judge. Well, the Thanksgiving travel period is well underway, but the FAA has a special focus on what happens today at airports. The TSA expects a record number of people flying from today through Monday. And at Orlando International, more than 185,000 people are expected to fly through today. In total, 4.5 million Floridians are traveling 50 miles or more for Thanksgiving. Today and tomorrow will likely be the busiest days on the roads.
We just broadened the amount of time that we're measuring travel numbers because people have more flexibility. They're able to work remotely, so people are leaving earlier, they're staying later.
AAA says the top 3 domestic destinations this holiday season are all right here in Florida. That's Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and of course, Orlando. And if you're headed to the airport, car thefts are skyrocketing at some of the busiest airports in the country. ABC's Trevor Alt reports it's become such a big issue that police have set up a special task force. AAA is warning drivers that you could see higher gas prices because of record holiday travel. That agency projects that 4.5 million Floridians will travel over 50 miles this week, and most are driving. Right now, the state average for a gallon of regular is $3.11. That's 2 cents more than last week. And right now, it's pleasant across Central Florida. Certified meteorologist Cassie Carriz in Severe Weather Center line. Cassie, we're not alone here. As of right now, there are no major impacts across the country for flights.
That's right. You know, I've been watching these numbers all morning long. We were checking in on these on Eyewitness News this morning, and we're still in the green, which means we're seeing minor impacts across some of our country's biggest airports, even despite the fact that we have 2 storms that are moving across the country. One is on the West Coast. We can see rainfall moving into parts of Southern California. We've got snow as we move into parts of the Rockies. We get you into Nevada, Utah, Colorado, some heavy snowfall there. We're starting to get some rain turning over into a wintry mix. This could impact some of the smaller airports when we get up into New Hampshire and into Maine as we go through the day today. But the system off to the west for parts of the Midwest as we head later in the week could have some impacts with some travel delays there. So we're going to keep an eye on it. But here close to home, we are quiet. We are sunny. We are warm. We're starting to see those temperatures already in the mid and upper 70s. And we are going to continue to see these temperatures climb to above average temperatures and levels today. You can see at 79 degrees. A lot of Central Florida, especially along the I-4 corridor, is expected to get into the 80s today. You can see 80 degrees in Winter Park, Orlando, very close to hitting 80 in Apopka, and Altamont will get you about 80. Also 81 degrees in Oviedo and 79 degrees in Deltona. Tomorrow gets even warmer, and we're going to keep the pleasant weather around all the way into and through Thanksgiving before we get some big changes. I'll take you through just how cold those changes will be coming up in just a bit. Kirsten.
Cassie, thank you. Thousands of people in Central Florida will have a meal this Thanksgiving, and it's thanks to the Orlando Pride and Orlando City FC. They came together today at Internco Stadium for a special giveaway. And as Channel 9's Giovanni Diaz reports, it was a special day for the entire community. Meantime, the Pendas law firm spread holiday cheer with its 16th annual turkey giveaway. Hundreds of people lined up for a free turkey outside of their office on East Colonial Drive. Some people were there as early as 2:45 this morning. The firm distributed 800 turkeys in Orlando and a total of 3,000 across the state.
During the course of these 16 years, we have fed well over 250,000 people and counting.
Pendas says the idea for this drive came when one of his clients said he couldn't afford food for Thanksgiving, and it's been a tradition ever since. We've told you millions of people are taking a trip this holiday season. Coming up, how analysts say you could save some cash when you travel. Plus, the world's largest retailer is rolling back some of its policies next. What Walmart says is responsible for this change.
And we take you outside live. Look how beautiful it looks over downtown Orlando. Just some gorgeous weather that is setting up shop here across Central Florida. I'm going to take you through the numbers for the rest of the day, and we'll take a look at the rest of our holiday week.
Drone 9, only on Channel 9 Eyewitness News, getting you closer over the scene of breaking news.
Drone 9, sponsored by StrataAC.com. You ought to call Strata.
On WFTV tonight, we stay on top of the major news you need to know.
With team coverage of breaking news, giving you details that matter.
The day's top stories and weather.
To prepare you for tomorrow.
WFTV tonight at 11 on Channel 9.
Walmart has announced a major decision. The retailer says it's rolling back some policies on diversity, equity, and inclusion. ABC's Rhiannon Alley reports. Meantime, Macy's is dealing with a $154 million accounting scandal. Yesterday, the retailer announced a single employee was responsible for intentionally hiding millions of dollars worth of expenses across 3 years. Macy's says it was forced to delay its quarterly earnings because of this irregularity. That employee was fired. When you're doing your holiday shopping, keep Toys for Tots in mind. Now through Sunday, December 15th, 9 Family Connection is collecting new unwrapped toys here at our studios on East South Street in Orlando. We've also made it easy for you to shop online for a child at 9family.com. FEMA is giving survivors of Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene more time to apply for financial assistance. The agency has extended that deadline to apply for aid. That includes assistance for displacement, home repairs, property loss, and other disaster-related expenses. We have a link for you online at WFTV.com. Now, this comes as the official end of hurricane season is just 4 days away. This year, there were 18 named storms, and 11 of them were hurricanes. Of course, that includes the 3 storms that hit Florida directly.
It only takes one hurricane to make it a busy season where you live. So we're not gonna change the message. And the message is, especially if you live here in Florida, you need to be prepared every hurricane season and get those preparations done before things start getting active out there.
Now, hurricanes Debbie, Helene, and Milton have drawn more than 314,000 insurance claims by homeowners, with estimated losses at $5.3 billion. So, of course, we are anxiously awaiting
counting the days.
End of this hurricane season.
Yeah, just a few more days. Things are quiet there right now. So good news. Let's keep it that way, right?
It's going to be good.
For always and forever if we can keep it that way.
Right.
But we get you outside Daytona Beach. A lot of sunshine. Look at that. That guy's reapplying sunscreen. Look at that. You see that?
Listen, very important. Take care of your skin.
Listen, it is very important. But we had this conversation yesterday.
You can tell who's from here and who's not, for sure.
Exactly. 75 degrees. I mean, it's not all that bad. It's starting to warm up. We're going to actually be a little bit warmer the next couple of days. And really, for our friends that are in town visiting from any of our northern states, are going to love this weather. This is why Central Florida and Florida is such a destination during this time of year. We've got the mid and upper 70s outside. We are warmer than yesterday by a couple of degrees. Winds are generally light, but you can see coming out of the west in many locations. And as we go through Severe Weather Center 9 Future Track, I don't expect to see any clouds today. So we've had day upon day of very clear skies. We will eventually get some clouds rolling in, and we'll even get some showers, because I am tracking another front, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. Through the rest of the day today, you see those nice warm numbers sticking around through the 2, 3, 4 o'clock hour before things start to cool down tonight. So county by county, in Orange County, Ocoee is going to get to about 80 degrees, 80 in downtown, 79 in Apopka. As we head into parts of Brevard County, you can see the temperatures there, 78 to about 80 degrees. Mico getting to 80 this afternoon, with the winds out of the west at around 5 miles per hour. But upper 70s to low 80s today, 78 to about 81 degrees this afternoon. Pretty uniform in the warmth that's been growing for us. Overnight, watching for the potential of some patchy fog. Again, we had some of that early this morning. Even portions in County were under a dense fog advisory, so we'll watch the thickness of that, because a lot of people are hitting the roads. If they're not hopping on a plane, they're hitting the roads headed to visit some family. The temperatures won't be as chilly when you're doing that tomorrow morning. We've got the mid 50s, even some 60s, but by the end of the week, you can see this cold air. It's making another run at Central Florida, so before it gets here, we're going to have a couple of scattered showers. The timing of that is Friday, so tomorrow and for Thanksgiving, we'll have mostly sunny, partly cloudy skies, pretty warm, hitting about 82 degrees. But come Friday, we're hitting 75, a good 30% chance for those scattered showers. And beyond Friday, we get that rush of cold air. So we take you through the 7-day forecast with our weekend always in view. Over the weekend, we are back to waking up to 40s in many locations, afternoon highs in the 60s and low 70s. And we get even colder still early next week. A lot of people back to work, back to school. We'll have to think about bundling those kiddos back up, because we will be tracking some 30s and low 40s, and the afternoon high on Monday not expected to climb a whole lot, looking at a high of 63 degrees. Kirsten.
2 new weight loss drugs are wildly popular but very expensive. Coming up, the new deal that could help millions of Americans save money and improve their health.
Weather updates from Severe Weather Center 9 are sponsored by Toyota of Orlando and Toyota of Claremont.
Hey, I'm Dr. Darian, and today's prescription for wellness is on how to treat a dog bite. You'd be surprised, but they commonly happen during the holiday period. Many friends and family that your dogs don't know come over, and unfortunately, bites happen. So here's what you need to do if it happens to you. The first thing you want to do is wash that wound out. You can use things like mild soap and water. You can avoid the aggressive stuff. Just keep it irrigated and then keep it clean. You want to cover that area with a clean cloth and hold pressure if you notice any bleeding. And then making sure that you're being cautious about possibility of infections. You can apply things like like antibiotic ointment or just even petroleum jelly-based products. And then watching for signs of an infection that can include redness, a swelling, or increased pain. If you notice any of those signs or symptoms, you want to get checked out. Approximately 20% of dog bites will have an increased risk of infection. I'll have more tips on healthy living coming up on GMA3. See you there.
Millions of Americans could soon have weight loss drugs like Wegovy or Ozempic covered by insurance. Channel 9's Kirsten Garris reports. This afternoon, we have a recall for dog owners. 16-ounce bags of Hollywood Feed Carolina-made chicken chips have been recalled. FDA officials say dogs that are given those treats may end up contaminated with salmonella. For dogs, that can result in health issues like nausea, fever, and abdominal cramping. Humans who touch those contaminated products may also feel the same symptoms. President-elect Donald Trump has a plan to control the flow of drugs and people crossing the border. Coming up, the reaction that world leaders are having to his plan for tariffs and immigration.
This Tower Cam shot, sponsored by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Watch Eyewitness News from any device with Eyewitness News Livestream. Sponsored by the law firm of Bogan, Munz & Munz. No gimmicks, just results.
President-elect Donald Trump is threatening to impose sweeping new tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China as soon as he takes office. As ABC's Jay O'Brien reports, it's part of his plan to crack down on illegal immigration and drugs. Mexico is the largest trading partner with the United States. U.S. consumers buying nearly $500 billion of Mexican goods like computers, cars, and electrical equipment. Meantime, the Trump administration has endorsed Jimmy Patronis for Florida's first congressional district. That's the position previously held by Matt Gaetz. Now, Patronis served as Florida's chief financial officer, but he submitted his resignation yesterday, although it's not effective until March 31st. Shortly after resigning, he officially entered the race for Florida's Congressional District 1. Meantime, dates for a special election are now scheduled to replace U.S. Congressman Mike Waltz. Waltz was tapped by President-elect Trump to serve as a national security advisor. A special primary election for Congressional District 6 will take place on January 28th. That's the district that includes parts of Flagler, Lake, Marion, and Volusia County, and then a special general election will be held on April 1st. Volusia County is investing $60 million to tackle flooding issues across multiple cities. One major project is in Mill Lake Park, that's in Orange City, and it flooded for weeks after Hurricane Milton. The plans include replacing drainage pipes there and increasing water pumping capacity. But city leaders say this would not be possible without funding from the Transform 386 fund.
They're going to administer the grant as well, which means they'll go out to bid, and they have the personnel that is experienced in running these CDBG programs to comply with all of the federal requirements.
County leaders will discuss additional flooding prevention efforts at a meeting in January. It is quite pleasant across Central Florida right now, and certified meteorologist Cassie Crimmy is tracking the latest from Severe Weather Center 9. Cassie, how much warmer are we getting ahead of Thanksgiving?
You know, we're going to add kind of just a degree or two each day, adding only a few more degrees. That means in the next couple of days. So outside right now, we're in the mid to upper 70s. We're headed to the 80s today, which is where we are going to stay. But you can see kind of just that change in temperatures from day to day. We see this in the morning time period. We see it in the afternoon time period as well. A couple of degrees warmer. That's going to be the case again tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon before we get into Thanksgiving. But we are going to see this not long-lived. We have another snap of cold just around the corner as well. But we are pretty quiet outside as we take you through our lunch hour. Clear skies, nothing but blue. There is a front to the north of us. You can see this is bringing clouds and some showers for the Panhandle, parts of southern Georgia. This is kind of fizzle and not quite reach us here in Central Florida. There's an additional front that will move through late in the week, and that one is going to be bringing us another blast of some cold weather. So enjoy the warmth while we have it. If you are a warm weather lover, you can see hitting that 80-degree mark here in Orlando through the 2 o'clock hour. Upper 70s still at 4 o'clock. We get the sun down and things will start to cool off, but not before peaking right at around 80 degrees in Orlando, reaching about 80 in Kissimmee, Claremont, the Villages, 82 degrees in Winter Haven, and a few upper 70s as well. But add just a few degrees onto this. That's what we anticipate anticipate for tomorrow. So low to mid 80s in a lot of parts of Central Florida. That will last into the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll talk a bit more about that. Plus, we'll take a look at just how cold it gets after that front I was talking about. All coming up. Kirsten.
Cassie, thank you. Right now, millions of people are hitting the road for Thanksgiving, and depending on how you travel, you may actually be saving money this year. The Travel Price Index by NerdWallet found the price for hotels and motels across the U.S. dropped compared to this time last year. Rental car prices are also less expensive now than they were a year ago. Airfare prices, however, are up more than 4% during that same time period.
It's that cumulative effect that's important. It's a few years of higher prices for housing and food and childcare and so many other things. That's what's getting people. It's not that travel costs are skyrocketing. It's more that the cost of everything else has added up.
Overall, researchers say there's been a 12% increase in travel prices this year compared to 5 years ago. Meantime, experts are saying Thanksgiving shopping is shaping up to be big this year. A new survey shows over 183 million people plan to shop both in-store and online from Thanksgiving Day through Cyber Monday. More than half say those good deals are their main draw there. Holiday spending is expected to near $1 trillion. Another day, another launch from our Space Coast. Coming up, the cargo going into orbit after the launch of a Falcon 9 rocket.
Ready to have some fun? Yeah. Somebody's having a night tonight.
I love this wheel. Yes! Brought to you by Fence Outlets.
On the Space Coast, their Falcon 9 rocket is on the launch pad right now, ready for liftoff. That mission will send another 24 Starlink satellites into orbit. That launch is scheduled for 10:05 tonight from the Kennedy Space Center. SpaceX launched a Falcon 9 rocket just yesterday, and you can watch today's launch right here live on Channel 9 and at WFTV.com. Millions of new small businesses have opened up since the pandemic, especially led by minorities and women. The U.S. Small Business Administration says business ownership has doubled among black households. Since 2020, the SBA has tripled its lending to black-owned businesses. It's also doubled lending to Latino-owned businesses and small businesses owned by women.
Black-owned, brown-owned, women-owned businesses, they're really charging ahead, and they are going to be the ones who deliver for our economy into the future.
The SBA says roughly 10 million of the 16 million jobs created over the last 4 years stem from small businesses. Your next visit to Starbucks may take a little longer than usual. Coming up, why baristas may need a little more time to complete your order.
And as we take you outside during our lunch hour, lots of sunshine, gorgeous weather. I am tracking another cold front. This is going to bring about some big changes to Central Florida. I'll take you through the timing on that, all coming up.
We've been following the best deals from local businesses. Here's today's local steals and deals. Your next trip to Starbucks, well, it could cost you a little more time thanks to a software mess. A ransomware attack on one of its suppliers is affecting the pay and scheduling for Starbucks baristas. Starbucks says this outage will not impact customer service. They're also promising to make sure all of their workers are paid properly. So maybe you tip a little extra to your barista for your pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah, you know, I don't joke about ransomware, but you want to know, you don't want to mess with people, their pay and their caffeine. They're another morning coffee. Hopefully that gets all ironed out soon. But we get you outside. Beautiful, beautiful.
Look at that.
I know, I just love it. It makes me want to go to the beach.
Yeah.
Should we go?
Probably a little too windy and chilly for us Floridians,
you know?
Nope,
not today. I know, it's just so beautiful out there. Temperatures over in Cocoa are actually climbing into the upper 70s. We're sitting right now about 75 to 78 degrees in most spots. Kissimmee's just a touch cooler there at 71 degrees, but you can see most of us are up a few degrees from yesterday. Our gradual warming trend is underway, and it continues for us tomorrow. We're going to keep this beautiful weather around all the way into and through Thanksgiving. Severe Weather Center 9 Future Track keeping those skies cloud-free and rain-free here for the rest of our day. And you can see just that as our hour-by-hour timeline here up in Ocala. Upper 70s all the way through 4 o'clock. The sun goes down and we get that 10-degree drop, and then we continue to see those numbers really cool off. In Orlando, again, reaching the upper 70s and 80s before the sun goes down for us. So it's going to be a very warm day. 80 in downtown in Ocoee, Lake Buena Vista, also hitting 80, 81 in Bithlo. We head up into Flagler County. We'll get to 78 degrees in Palm Coast. Crossing over into Volusia County, Ormond Beach sitting at 78 this afternoon, and Lake Helen, a high today of 79 degrees. So 78 to 80 for most of us. We do have a couple of those outliers getting 81 to 82 degrees for this afternoon, but we're going to see more numbers like this as we get into tomorrow. So low to mid 80s for tomorrow afternoon, and that's after starting off a little bit more mild in our morning as well. We'll wake up to about 56 degrees in Orlando, patchy fog possible. We had some of that overnight. We'll watch again for that, especially for the people who are getting out on the roads early to get some of their holiday travel started. Alexa Lorenzo will keep an eye on those roads for you, but 54 to start in Sanford, 53 in DeLand, 55 in Daytona Beach. And then looking forward, we are going to be tracking another front. Comes at the end of the week, though. This will bring us a couple of scattered showers, and this one is going to deliver us a pretty decent batch of some cold weather. So tomorrow, mostly sunny, 82. Thanksgiving, partly cloudy, 82. Still dry. Black Friday, if you're out and about shopping, dodging a couple of raindrops, cloudier skies, mid 70s for us as that front works its way on through the area. And then look at our 7-day forecast of the weekend, always in view. We're really cooling things down again, right in time for the weekend. We've got morning temperatures back in the 40s and low 50s, afternoon temperatures in the 60s and low 70s, and this is going to push into next week as well. Monday morning, waking up to 43 degrees in Orlando, Burr, some 30s in some communities north of us, and a high of only 63. Kirsten.
Well, next time you buy a plane ticket, you might get stuck with a whole lot of junk fees. Next, where the airlines are hiding extra fees, making your trip way more expensive.
Hey there, Kirsten. Coming up on GMA3, what you're up against as you head out the door for the holiday, what the FAA is warning.
Plus, drama in the court when the Menendez brothers face the judge in their resentencing hearing. Our team on what happens next.
Oscar winner Mira Sorvino is here on a new project close to her heart.
Also, travel and leisure's very best places to visit in 2025.
Plus, Dr. Darian looks at a condition called holiday heart syndrome. What can trigger it?
And the grandma so good at giving those scammers a taste of their own medicine. You are going to love her, and it's all coming up right after Eyewitness News at noon.
Tonight's primetime lineup on WFTV is brought to you by your local Southeast Toyota dealers.
Here's a look at some of the stories working on for Eyewitness News at 4. A woman in Lake County could spend the rest of her life in prison after killing her husband and burying him in her backyard. In September, a jury found Lori Schaefer guilty of shooting her husband nearly a decade ago. Right now, we're in court for you, and we're letting you know exactly what her sentence is at 4. Also today, we're learning more about the tragic death of a little boy in Deltona. Deputies in Volusia County say Charlie Newton was found this morning in a body of water. He was autistic and nonverbal. At 4, what the sheriff wants to implement now to keep this from ever happening again. Lawmakers say airlines are making billions of dollars from junk fees. A new Senate report shows some airlines like Frontier and Spirit reward agents for catching travelers not following carry-on rules. Lawmakers say some of these fees are set up to avoid taxes, giving smaller airlines an edge. Leaders with those airlines will get a chance to respond to this report during a hearing next week. The stocks are mixed on Wall Street this afternoon. Here's a look at the numbers so far. We'll have closing figures for you later today on Channel 9 Eyewitness News at 4.
Stocks are brought to you by the personal injury firm of Todd Minor Law.
This afternoon, the streets of downtown Orlando are a little bit quieter after the Orlando Parade yesterday for the Pride. The team won the National Women's Soccer League Championship over the weekend, and after parading down Orange Avenue, City team with a ceremony at City Hall where their trophy was front and center.
We've been working so hard for live this moment, so we need to enjoy every single moment. We need to enjoy with like our family, friends, and then especially with the Pride fans.
And this could be the first of 2 2 championship parades because Orlando City is just 2 wins away from winning their first MLS Cup. And my goodness, the weather's been fantastic for the matches, for the parade.
Great. And then I'm sitting there thinking, like, the Magic, you see everybody winning.
Oh.
Not that the Magic are losing, but like, let's get a championship, right?
Wow. No pressure. No pressure from Cassie today.
I'm just kidding. Listen, I love champions. We all love champions.
I love winning.
I love them still when they're not. So we get you outside, and it's a beautiful day. Lots of sunshine. 80 degrees out there. Mild the next couple of mornings. We're going to wake to 50s, upper 50s, even some 60s, with those afternoon highs staying in the 80s all the way into and through Thanksgiving. But Friday, although we're going to wake up mild, we do have a front that's going to move through. Cloudier skies. Will be soggy at times. Our rain chance at around 30% for Friday. As that front moves south of us, we're going to get a big blast of some cold weather again. So over the weekend, we're waking back up to the 40s.
All right, pack your parka. Maybe the extra Thanksgiving fluff will keep you warm. I know I plan to eat a lot.
We're going to get that extra fluff. Where are my stretchy pants at?
Bye.
Closed captioning ensures all viewers have access to our programming here on Channel 9 and provides a critical link by delivering important local coverage with stories that impact our community. Closed captioning on WFTV is sponsored by Farah and Farah.
This Time and Temperature is sponsored by Mercedes-Benz of South Orlando.